Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. After the 10th of ex-Ambazonian fighters presented in the nation's political capital during the major national dialogue, another one drops his gun and surrenders to Northwest Governor Adolphe Lafrique. This happened today, and we'll bring to you details in this newscast. And the United Nations Organization and the African Justice Assembly say many Anglophones have become vulnerable because their legal documents have either been burnt or destroyed in other ways in the deepening Anglophone crisis. Stay with us. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the news. Several Anglophones in the northwest and southwest regions of the country have become deplorable because, or better still, vulnerable because the certificates or legal documents in general have been destroyed in the course of the deepening Anglophone crisis, and the United Nations Development Program and the African Justice Assembly and now seeing how to solve this problem. The institutions have indicated that this has an impact on social cohesion. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
The burning of thousands of houses and properties in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon has rendered thousands of Anglophones extremely vulnerable as they now go about without birth certificates, national identity card, school certificates and other important legal documents. This, according to African Justice for Peace Association, AJA, has an adverse effect on the effort to promote social and economic cohesion in the crisis-hit locality.
You see, we have reached over 1,000 people in Dongamantung who don't have birth certificate, and we all know how important this birth certificate are. So we have been able to distribute over 100 birth certificate to these people who need this birth certificate to do one or two things, maybe national identity card, to register for their exams, and we are hopefully to have more partnership to do more birth certificate.
AJA and the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, sees this as part of an early recovery mechanism to restore peace in the areas concerned.
The issue of IDPs too is very, very concerning. That's why we were putting in place a structure to reorganize the IDPs in Dongamantu so that we can have some people to represent them. In case of opportunities, in case of ID, they can share, they can easily communicate to the IDPs that we have here.
Above the loss of documents, most of the IDPs no longer have food, nowhere to stay.
I'm very, very optimistic about it. In this period where our regions have lost that aspect of peace building, they have come up with this idea.
AJA and the UNDP in their roundtable discussion impart vulnerable participants from the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon on the importance and the processes of establishing legal documents.
For me, Armstrong Sander reporting on the situation of Anglophones who have become vulnerable as a result of the consequences of the Anglophone crisis, and after the 10s of ex-Anglophone fighters, or better still separatist fighters, who were presented at the major national dialogue in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Another one drops his gun and surrenders to Northwest Governor Adolphe Lafrique. He was presented today, and he said that he has stopped the struggle. He has decided to abandon the struggle in order to return to the normal life trend. Take a listen to him in this extract.
President, after the dialogue, we say, we the Amber Boys, he don't grant all the freedom for come back at home. Stay back at home before solving all the problems. So, I find myself to report myself to them, then live a free life back as I used to be. So it made me now to see that the freedom given by the president, I came to see if truly the freedom has been granted into this division, by the military around me, by other people I see, so that I can call on my brothers back at the bushes to come and believe in me that so truly I was here and nothing happens to me. So I wish and I believe nothing will happen to me today. Next, we were two fighters at the bush. I fight with armies, with the military people, I fight with the Muslims. I would not want us to take another court to take a way forward since the peace has come to us. I would want any of the military people to come, I embrace him, or one of the Muslim people too to come, I embrace. So that as from today henceforth, at this municipality, nothing again will ever happen. That is the more reason I'm back at home.
Oui, je lui souhaite la bienvenue, mais je voudrais que ça ne s'arrête pas ici. Appelle tes amis qui sont encore en brousse. Parce que toi seul qui arrive ici, ça ne suffit pas. Tu peux être seul, ils sont encore des centaines en brousse. Donc tu es maintenant celui qui doit leur parler, leur demander de venir. Et ce n'est pas seulement le discours que tu fais ici qui compte.
Tell your other brothers to come and join you so that they can come out. So that peace can come to the country after this day.
Congratulations. Don't be afraid. You are free. Come. Tell the others that you come also.
An ex-separatist fighter speaking there in Wum in the northwest region of the country after dropping his gun and handing himself to the administrative authorities and of course the military, and he has been urged to call the others who are still in the bushes to do same, to drop their guns and return to the normal life trend so that peace and of course stability can return to the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. It should be noted that on the first day of the major national dialogue at the Yaoundé conference center, over 30 ex-fighters were presented. On the second day there were 5 of them who were equally presented. On the third day there were 9, and 15 on the last day of the major national dialogue. We'll be talking about this in the second part of this newscast. In the meantime, we'll talk about some workers of the Cameroon Development Corporation, CDC, who have been attacked by unidentified armed men. They were attacked in the plantations, and many of them severely wounded, about 2 of them severely wounded by the attackers, and they are now under medical attention. Now to Kutaba in the west region of the country. As it is the case in many other parts of the country, inhabitants are suffering as a result of floods following heavy downpour. Innocent as it has more.
From all 4 corners of Kutaba in the Noon Division of the West region, inhabitants have been moving in water as a result of heavy rainfall. He says they have been living like this for 3 weeks. The inundation, which is common during the rainy season, he knows, has ravaged plantations.
Par exemple, toutes les plantations sont envahies.
This other talks of absolute difficulties in stepping out even with a vehicle. The stagnant water in some villages attain a height of 2 meters.
Taille d'1,85 m. Et si je rentre dans l'eau, je suis pratiquement à la moitié.
Some houses have even been flooded and destroyed by the water.
Alors, par exemple, la maison qui était ici, au début des pluies, la première inondation l'a détruite complètement.
Many persons have decided to evacuate to avoid the worst.
See what they for you, so now I first see the water way there for you. So as I the water there, so you already pass way. The water the water for you, plenty the enter for house for people there.
Public services have not been spared by the inundation. For instance, this central health institution is surrounded by stagnant water. The road leading to Sabongari village is also covered by water. Jidango village, about 10 kilometers from Kotaba, is also touched. Schools are flooded and kids, peoples and students compelled to walk in the water. Strategies have been adopted like these to facilitate movement into and out of classrooms. The situation is indeed very precarious and only the strong cope.
I just managed to put the blocks so that you can link the children from the land to the classes.
The Red Cross team has decided to go to the field to assist the population by rescuing them from dangers, especially from contracting diseases from contaminated water sources like boreholes. In all, the inhabitants of Kotaba are in confusion as to what causes this frequent inundation. Each day, they pray for the water which has attained an unbearable height to drop, but the situation rather aggravates. All eyes and voices have been directed towards government authorities.
The fight against urban disorder in the chief town of the west region of Cameroon, Bafoussam, has left many business persons in agony. Their shops have been destroyed. Emini Luka has more.
The demolition exercise here had to do with traders along the main entrance into the city of Bafoussam. Here is a trader who relates their frustration. He says it is 1 week ago that the delegate and divisional officer placed notices on shops previewing demolition, stating that it was to widen the road. Some victimized traders say they weren't given enough time to quit the area properly, while also stating discriminative aspects. The trader further says how some selected shops are destroyed and others are not. He says the urban council claims untouched shops are those who have disbursed money. Meanwhile, the concerned shops are at times situated on the road. Having no other option, and for some with accumulated debts injected into their businesses, they have retraced the roads to their villages. However, very decisive, the divisional officer of the Bafoussam 1 Council area, Abubakar Gaba, alongside an outstanding number of policemen and elements of the National Gendarmerie, ensured the total demolition of the sideline shops. The divisional officer here says it's an exercise to stop urban disorder while ensuring the realization of some projects like the construction of the road. Construction works in line with the widening of the Bafoussam main stretch of road, as further explained by the divisional officer, falls in line with the plan of action of giving a facelift to the city of Bafoussam by the Bafoussam Urban Council.
5 people have been killed and 38 others injured in anti-government demonstrations in Guinea Conakry. CAM is yet to return to that country after thousands of opposition demonstrators marched on streets protesting against a possible change of the constitution that could allow President Alpha Condé run for a 3rd term in office.
C'est pas moi seulement, c'est toute la Guinée.
The deadly demonstration early this week in Guinea ends at opposing a possible change to the constitution that could allow President Alpha Condé run for a third term. Demonstration turned violent with police opening fire in clashes with demonstrators in the capital, Conakry. At least 5 protesters in the city of Mamou, an opposition stronghold east of Conakry, were shot dead. This has been confirmed by the Guinean Organization for Defense of Human Rights. Government's spokesman, Damatang Albert Camara, said the goal of the demonstration, which was meant to be insurrectional, was clearly to provoke a violent response from the military to cause a lot of deaths in order to inflame the situation. An opposition leader, Selou Diallo, said at least 38 people had been wounded in Conakry and Mamou.
Donc le FNDC, les responsables du FNDC que nous sommes, nous nous réjouissons de ce succès. Ça a été un succès.
He had also encouraged citizens to continue demonstration until the legitimate demands of the opposition are satisfied, being needs of a clear, firm and irrevocable declaration from Alpha Condé renouncing a third term. Apart from the killings and arrests, 6 opposition figures were arrested before the protest began Monday. Security forces were also active in breaking up makeshift barricades and making some arrests as protesters burnt tires, threw stones, while some other opposition leaders who called for the protest were blocked from leaving their homes on Monday.
And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Thanks for staying with us. In Talking Points, we are receiving a member of the diaspora, Paddy ASANGA. He's from Germany. You're welcome.
Thank you, Babila, for having me.
You just watched an ex-separatist fighter talking in whom, after having dropped his gun and handing over himself to the administration and the security forces, he also called on his brothers who are still in the bush to do same. What do you think about that?
I think that's the right step in the right direction, and that's what we have been advocating for, trying to tell our brothers and sisters that life is not in the bushes. They are potential leaders in this country, and they can come and sit and ask for what they want. They can represent themselves. I think that we have lost a lot of our young boys and girls, and this type of initiative, this action from those people coming out of the bushes goes a long way to tell you what it means to de-radicalize, because we belong to the disarmament, but we are talking about de-radicalization. That goes in a long way to de-radicalize the mentality, tell the person the truth and where his future lies in Cameroon. We have fought to get a special status. Now, what is the content of the special status?
Now, you listen to some of the ex-fighters speaking during the major national dialogue, and you equally listen to the one who just spoke in the news now. He was speaking in Wum in the northwest region of the country. When you listen to these ex-fighters speaking, do you have a sense, can you detect a sense of conviction? Because some of them went into the bush by conviction that this is the right way to get what they want. And now they are coming out of the bushes. Do you get a sense of conviction in their speech?
You know, Babila, you see, some of these people were sold an illusion. I'll keep saying that for those who don't want to believe what I'm saying. If somebody tells you that you are going into the bush and in 3 months you are going to get something, and you are now fighting for 3 years. So what does it take if somebody tells you that it is not realistic, it is not feasible, it is a legitimate claim, but the means, and you don't have the means and the material means to achieve what you want to get? So what do? You have to make a retrospective look and take a conscious decision and take a wise decision. This is all what we are doing about We are talking about de-radicalizing the mentalities of our young boys and girls who have their future in a one Cameroon, but not in a Jacobinist Cameroon. That's what we are saying.
And you were in the Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Committee during the major national dialogue, and you have been one of the persons very much interested in this issue of de-radicalization. What have you been doing? You've been to the northwest and some parts of the country. What have you been doing to push through this, your agenda of de-radicalization, which ties with the objectives of government to bring those boys out of the bush?
Babila, I'll be very, very honest to you people, and I want to be very frank. And before the government decided to create the Disarmament Commission or whatever they call it, I don't trust this government. That is what it is. It is a Jacobinist government. They believe that l'État c'est moi, mais l'État ce n'est pas moi. L'État ce n'est pas Monsieur Biya, mais l'État c'est le peuple. That is what Jacobinism. Coming back to answer your question. Some of these people who went to the bushes, some of these people whom we have been talking to, they are ignorant. Some of these guys just left school. Some of them are 16, 15 years old. And they tell you that tomorrow you will be this. It is on both camps. It is on both sides. We are not dealing with an honest government. That one, we must say it as it is. So when you meet these guys, tell them the truth and what is feasible and how feasible it is. There is no need for me to come to the diaspora and lie to somebody that tomorrow you'll be a general, for you to die, and they bury you in a shallow grave like a pig, and I start writing on Facebook, rest in peace, rest in peace. What about those soldiers who are dying also, killed by so-called Ambas? Are they not children of this country? So we are saying that it is black on black crime. How do we get to a point where we don't produce arms in this country and black people pick up arms to kill themselves for visual borders that was created by the white boys?
You have been telling some of them what is feasible and what is not feasible. What is not feasible? What have you been telling them that is not feasible?
Babila, let's be very, very honest, and this is what I call hardball. Some of my friends and my brothers who are sitting in the diaspora, they said they had some countries that were supporting them. They were going to get independence from court. The United Nations was going to do this. And now they are saying that there is an international community conspiracy against what they are saying. So when you say there is an international community, does a nation exist as an island? That's why we are telling our brothers and sisters that yes, if you gave us independence, like Dr. Monzo said, on a platter of gold, we'll take it. But what we know from the examples of Sudan and other countries, it is not feasible. So we have to look for a way to load the contents of a special status, and this is the moment for us to sit down as Anglophones and rethink the Anglophone General Conference so that all of us, either in this country or out of this country, we put a content and present it. We should not allow this Jacobinist government to decide for us, because the November session of Parliament is very, very important. And we should have a document to make sure that those people who call themselves parliamentarians for the North and Southwest region, they have something. I want to understand that there is a certain opposition party which has proposed the Quebec model as
the SDF.
Yes, because I don't want to play partisan politics here. I want to say it as it is, and we want to call our brothers and sisters of the other party closer to the government, and even those who are not even close to the government, to come and do something to stop the bloodshed. It is about the state of the nation, and this content it's supposed to be loaded. And we are asking our Francophone brothers to join us and define, to help us to pass that motion in Parliament. Forget about Mr. Biya. Babila, please don't quote me. Forget about Mr. Biya's government. Mr. Biya is a dying horse. Mr. Biya is gone. What is the future of Cameroonians today, tomorrow, after when Mr. Biya would have been gone? He is like any other aging person, can go anytime. So what will happen? We have to be prepared. You remember when the Cardinal called the Anglophone General Conference, Dr. Monzo said If they called us today for a dialogue, we are not ready. And they called us for a dialogue, we were not ready. But we decided to go there and push the agenda that we had. So now we are getting into the next session of Parliament. Where is that document that will represent the aspiration? Because it is not the nomenclature, it's not the name, but it is the content. What if we get the House of Chiefs? What if we get infrastructural projects like the Deep Sea Port, the Menchum Fall, WADA, PWD, Public Works Department, loaded in that content? Where are we going to? We are technically getting to a federation. But as you know, the Jacobins will not concede. They don't want to lose their face.
Paddy ASANGA, I wanted to get something very clear, because some of the separatist fighters who are still in the bushes will probably be listening to you now. What are you saying? That what they are fighting for, the independence of former Southern Cameroon, is not feasible? Is that what you say?
I have said it time and time again, and I will tell it to all my brothers and sisters. It is not feasible because, you see, the white boys, they have a way of doing their things. And we are in this mess today because they decided to make the German Cameroon their piece of cake. The German Cameroon, part of German Cameroon is Equatorial Guinea, part of it is Nigeria, part of it is Chad, part of it is Central Africa, and you name the rest. So the little part that is left in Cameroon again, we want to go and kneel in front of the white boy and say, come and give us, and we want to call ourselves this. No. Fon Gojedinka has his own Ambazonia. Ayuk Tseseko Tabe has his own Ambazonia. Somebody calls himself the CIC. Where are we? When they were holding their meetings, they did not consult us. They never told us to come and meet with them. They went to Switzerland to meet some other people. Did they call Paddy ASANGA? Did they call Monzo? Did they call Fundi? Did they call Cardinal Tumi? Did they call Eric Chinje? So we are always opening the door for us to sit and load the content. And I believe strongly that if we advocate for what we brought into this union, because we are the only people who chose to be voted to be part of Cameroon, and nobody else should come and say that they want something. Okay, you know the famous saying, Tiko drink, Kumba drunk. They can ask for their famous statues, then let them go out too and demonstrate for it and sacrifice the way our brothers. But we are saying that there has been enough bloodshed and it should stop. Let us Anglophones sit together, and this government, if they are sincere, they should help us to get the Anglophone General Conference so that we can bring those our brothers and sisters who are still ready to come into the union, because some people don't want to come. Some of them are American, some of them are German, some of them are French. There are people who have this Cameroonness. Those who want to come and join us so that let's build a strong nation, not strong people like Mr. Bia, come to the table.
A strong nation. The President of the Republic has called on the separatist fighters on several occasions to leave the bushes and come back to the normal life trend. Other authorities, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Atanganji Paul, and others have done so, and many other government authorities, the governors and so on. But till now, only a handful of them have been able to leave the bushes and return to the normal life trend. Do you think there is something specific that has to be done to de-radicalize these boys instead of threatening them like the President of the Republic did in one of his speeches? He said, if you don't drop your guns, we're going to instruct the military to neutralize you. Is there a specific way of going about to de-radicalize
yes,
boys?
You want to understand that Mr. Bia is a Jacobin and he believes that l'état c'est moi. He comes from that school of thought. So he would only go around about threatening people.
How to go about it? That's the question. How to go about de-radicalizing these boys?
You first of all, you don't call them terrorists. They are fighting for something. And when you call somebody terrorist, what is his faith? What is the faith of a terrorist in the world, Mr. Babila? Answer me. So give them a human face, they'll come. If you already call me a terrorist, I'll be afraid to come and see the military. So give them a human face and let people who can talk to them go and talk to them. They have dehumanized our chiefs, made them become like clowns. But these are the people who know those boys. And I'm saying that he who was playing with the goat know who stole the goat. So these people, Amber boys, did not fall from heaven.
They should give our people the powers to go and meet them and make some concessions. That's what we are talking about, Babila. We cannot sit here in Yaoundé. You know, I'm coming from the field. I still have some pictures with me. I've shared some of them. I went and consulted with people in Boya. I went to Moyoka. I went to other places. I've also been to other places that I don't want to mention. But you want to believe that there is also fatigue. And we cannot continue to be shedding blood. This is black on black crime. Why would a black man be carrying a gun against his own black brother for a Jacobini system for old white boy with a black skin?
All right, we are running out of time, Paddy ASANGA. But before we go, in some few words, send a message to those who are listening to you now in the bushes who have not yet dropped their guns.
You see, to this, my brothers and sisters who are in the bushes, many of you know me, many of you have seen my faces, many of you have heard my voice. I am here to let you understand that your future is in a united Cameroon, not La République du Cameroon. Let's do what is feasible. Don't go and die for a lie. It is not feasible. If it was feasible, I would have been one of the first person to carry a gun. Because they marginalized me, kicked me out of this country for 20 years, and I managed after 5 years to come back and start advocating for what I'm advocating for. Because I have stayed with the white boys and I know that they don't have our interest. Their interest is to sell us guns for us to kill themselves. When they produce all those arms, what are those arms to do? To hunt in Miami, to hunt in France? Do they have ranges where people will hunt? They sell it to Africans and Arabs to go and kill themselves. And at the end of the day, they assassinated Gaddafi. At the end of the day, you see what is happening in Congo and all other parts of Central Africa. They came and intervened in Central Africa. What is happening in Central Africa today? For how many years have the white boys been in Central Africa? What has happened? Some people will sit and want the white boys to come and intervene in this country. And you want me to join that? No. All of us have to sit as Cameroonians. All of us have to sit as Anglophones and load the special status, since we are claiming that we are Anglophones. Now, we have a peculiarity which is of our own in this country. Let's discuss it and forge the way forward. The nomenclature doesn't matter, but the content, it's very important, and we must load the content, my brother Babila.
Let Cameroonians, let Anglophones sit together and find solutions to their problems. That's it.
Yes, and
thanks,
I want to call on the cardinal. I want to call on our peers to make sure that they call us in the diaspora. I will be going to the diaspora. When I'm going back, I'm going to champion that project so that those our brothers and sisters who want to belong to the republic and the federal republic, or a republic with special, I don't care about nomenclature, but there are certain conditions that we are going to load in it, and I think that's the way forward. Babila, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Paddy ASANGA. You're a member of the diaspora coming all the way from Germany. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome, sir.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today.